These days, most view stories as mere entertainment, while others dismiss them as just fiction. But what if I told you both perspectives are fundamentally wrong? Come along as we cast your beloved stories in His transcendent light. This is Transcendentals.
Hey guys, how you doing? I'm Sean Jones, your host, and today we'll be taking a closer look at the film adaptation of The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, and why we believe it's still great. Now, this is in light of the news that Greta Gerwig, who just recently directed box office hit Barbie, is currently in talks to direct the new Netflix-produced Narnia series. I won't delve into her comments on the direction she may take with the beloved IP, but let's just say I have many reservations. As usual, we'll be assessing the film in accordance with the creative standard found in Genesis 2. Truth, goodness, and beauty. Also known as the Transcendentals. Each category will be placed on a scale of 1 to 10. Then we'll add it all up, giving you a much more objective take on the film. So, let's enter into the world of Narnia, starting with truth. Director Andrew Adamson's The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe originally hit theaters in 2009, and I remember it like yesterday. This was my first introduction to C.S Lewis. His mind, his world were unlike anything I'd ever known. I mean, just think of that title. It sparks so many questions. Like, what could the story be about, and how do those things even relate? The story clearly parallels that of Christ's crucifixion, with certain characters standing in as representatives of their real-life counterparts. Edmund as Judas, Aslan as Christ, the Witch as Satan, and a few other less notable ones. Now, while the movie does deviate from the book in a few places, skipping over a few iconic lines, restructuring some story beats, ultimately I would argue that these deviations aren't significant enough to detract from the story. In fact, some of these changes add greater depth to the characters and address what could be considered minor plot holes in the book. Overall, I believe the film remains true to much of what's found within the pages of Lewis's original tale, and more importantly, the pages of Scripture. The story is littered with strong biblical themes of sacrifice, redemption, in the battle between good and evil. Characters like Lucy immediately capture our hearts as she exudes much of the innocence that we all once had before it was swept away by the evils of this world. For example, when Lucy first runs into Mr. Tumnus, the fawn, he initially plans to kidnap Lucy before having a change of heart. And how about a character like Edmund? Whether we'd like to admit it or not, we too can connect with him, either by associating him with a sibling, or if we're being honest, ourselves. Like every single one of us without the grace of Christ, he found himself on the wrong side of a good story because of his unwillingness to address his sinful heart. Finally, we get characters like Peter, who exude much of what a young man should desire to be: courageous, strong, and fatherly. I won't touch upon Susan, as in the book and in the movie, she truly isn't much of a character. Now, I think we should touch upon the topic of magic. And no, not in the limp-wristed Christian sense in which everything with the word magic is demonic. Rather, we'd argue for the truly biblical sense, which we also believe Lewis held to, which revolves around power, and more importantly, how it's acquired. Was it God-given, like the powers given to Moses or Samson, or was it acquired, or rather stolen, by violating the boundaries that God has set, like Adam and Eve in the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, or King Saul and the witch of Endor? There's so many examples, but maybe we'll save that for a future episode. All that being said, there's much in this story for us to learn, and the lessons hold true to what we find in Scripture regarding God's determined boundaries for life and righteousness. Whether you're young in age or young at heart, the truth content of the story is substantial. So in regards to truth, we'll give this film an 8.5 out of 10. Next on our list is beauty. Rewatching this film recently, I was pleased to find that much of the visuals still hold up to this day. For example, Aslan. His visual effects and animation work is still top-notch. The emotions that are portrayed, the magnificence that is captured is simply brilliant. Hey, faithful listeners! Did you know you could become a Plus member for as little as $3.99 a month? And this will grant you with immediate access to extended ad-free episodes, exclusive content, Q&As, and much more. So what are you waiting for? Join today and help push the line forward. See you there. It's hard to believe that director Andrew Adamson had only directed Shrek and Shrek 2 before this, but you can see much of that experience hard at work here, capturing beautiful scenes, having a good handle on the pacing, and knowing when and where to utilize visual effects. As I said before, the film holds up well. Apart from maybe a handful of scenes that seem to be a product of reshoots, poor planning, or a lack of time for the visual effects artists. I might add that some of Adamson's directing mastery is also on display in his strong understanding of action. The final battle in this film is probably the biggest set piece and welcome addition to the story. To see the flurry of creatures clashing together as they fight for Narnia is unlike anything I've ever seen on screen to this day. I would also be remiss if I didn't bring up the music. This film's musical score is dancing with beautiful themes and motifs that still play in my head as welcome nostalgia to this day. Composer Harry Gregson Williams did a remarkable job of capturing the beauty, mystery, and brilliance of the deeper magic that makes up Narnia. I can genuinely go on about the different levels of beauty that make up this incredible story, but we don't have all day. So, in regards to beauty, we'll give The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe a solid 9 out of 10. And last but not least, goodness. Quite similar to what was said in the truth section, Narnia has much good substance to be found within this story. We're taught many true lessons about our world. Evil is triumphed over, sin is dealt with and paid for, and courage is upheld against all odds. This story is great for food. So in regards to goodness, we'll give it an 8.5 out of 10. So, what's the verdict? Well, when we look at the numbers, The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe comes in at an 87 on our Transcendental scale. It's a timeless tale, with much to teach us about the very magical world of our own. If you've got any suggestions for future episodes, or maybe you want to ask us a question, look us up on Instagram or Facebook and you'll find us there. That's it for today's episode. Thanks for tuning in, and remember, keep looking for his light, because it's always been there. See you next time on Transcendentals. Hey, it's Sean here. Just wanted to let you know that if you want to support this show and see more content like it, you can head to theliminals.org/fund. There you'll be able to support the show and get it out to more people just like yourselves. God bless. See you next time.